Podcasts. There are tens of thousands on the internet, on iTunes and on Spotify. What is it that makes one a hit and the other not? Hi, I'm Jente from Voicebooking, and in this video, 7 tips to make your podcast a success. 1. Choose your niche. One of the most important lessons I've learned as a radio host was think from your listener's point of view. That sounds pretty simple, but think about it. Are you really doing that? Of course, FM radio is a mass medium compared to the most podcasts. They are being made for a niche. For example, if you want to talk about marketing, then that's still a pretty broad subject. But if you start looking at it from a perspective of a chief marketing officer, then it becomes unique and recognizable. And an additional advantage is that in such a case you will probably choose to focus on the part of the niche you really know about and where you can find the core of your target audience. Number 2, have a clear format. You want your podcast to be clearly recognizable in the long run. So make sure you have a common thread that runs through the episode from start to finish. For example, fixed elements in the same place in all episodes. We produce a podcast series about management books, and every book review starts with, "What do the reviews say?" And they all end with, "Who's this for?" And then we ask questions like, "Are you buying it for yourself, or is it a present?" etc., etc. It's very simple, but it works like a charm. Then on 3, make sure you have a good sound. Question: do you want to listen to echoing walls or to a good interview? Nothing is as irritating as a podcast that is difficult to understand. So, book a studio or make sure you are in a room that doesn't have too many noise reflections. And of course, record with the right microphone. In other words, a good podcast is ear candy. Number 4, do not underestimate the editing and post-production. It's a misconception that you can put your podcast online immediately after the recording, especially if you think that the vast majority of the podcasts out there are being made by non-radio presenters or journalists. They are made by professionals who know everything about the niche in questions and are thrilled to make the podcast. And chances that their interview skills aren't as good as Oprah Winfrey or Howard Stern are pretty big. So, cut the parts out that weren't that good. And usually that's around 20 to 30% of the recordings. They are being cut out afterwards. And that's a simple bridge to number 5. Understand the laws of radio. Okay, presenting is a profession. We all know that. But if you don't have that knowledge, go into the studio with a specialist. Get coached and let them help you set up the format. Or take a sidekick. For example, ex-cyclist and king of all doping, Lance Armstrong, he presents his podcast together with an old morning show host from Texas. On 6, make sure you have good jingles. Okay, by thinking about jingles, you probably think about... I don't mean those jingles, but radio is all about making something out of nothing. And a podcast is nothing more than a pre-recorded radio program. So, great sounding and recognizable jingles will set you apart from the thousands of other podcasts. Start with a great opening jingle. It gets things started and will get your returning listeners that warm blanket of your podcast. And it also will give you the feel like, hey, I'm stepping into something great. And then we have the end jingle. It's a great way to wrap things up. And there you have the opportunity to promote your brand professionally. And finally, at number 7, create listeners. Haha, that's a nice open door. Yeah, but on the other hand, that's the main reason why you're doing it for, getting listeners in, isn't it? Unfortunately, that's where it goes wrong for a lot of podcasts. How many listeners does a podcast attract? It's a question you can't answer. How big is your niche? How much competition is there? What is the frequency? How big are the names you're going to interview? How are your reviews on iTunes and on Spotify? How are you going to promote it? And do you have a good media partner? I repeat, do you have a good media partner? Of all the points in this video, this is perhaps the most important one. And a media partner, for example, a well-respected media outlet from your niche, it can do wonders. But actually, that alone is a good topic for another video. Thanks for watching this video. What are your thoughts on this subject? I really like to know. Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/voicebookingcom. Until the next one. Bye.